What's up, guys? It's Grandmaster Shaymin. I know it's been a little while since my last update, and as you can see, I'm not using the headset that I've been using recently, and there is a little bit of a story behind that, but it's dead now, to say the least. And I didn't really want to go back to my other headset just because it's still really shitty. Plus, this is just kind of a really quick update. It is right before I upload this. Like if you're watching it on September 4th, then I legitimately just recorded this. But I don't know if anybody will actually be on the lookout this late at night at like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night to see this update. But it's been a really rough last week, to say the least. A lot of stuff has happened, and it's been really tough. So I moved out into the dorms, and if you guys saw my Fate Grand Order playthrough, then you guys know that I'm here in the dorms because I did do that playthrough while here. Since then, I've kind of set things up appropriately. Well, I mean, you can see my anime stuff behind me and whatnot, so. I do apologize if my room is a little bit messy, like that coat hanging on the door and whatnot. I decided to sit down and do this after work because I just felt like it's been a while since I did an update, so I thought I might as well do one now. Normally, I try and do a good quality, or at least decent quality update, but clearly that hasn't worked so far, as I only had those headphones for like 3 months, and then shit happened. They died, and now it's moved on. Now it's time to move on. But last Monday I started classes, and I immediately got sick, like hella sick, and it was rough. I think I mentioned it in my video that I did on Tuesday, I believe, that I was catching a cold and it was kind of shitty. But I finished Fate Grand Order, Fate Caliad event, which ended 8 minutes ago as of this moment, which I'm kind of sad about because I really didn't do anything after the streams because of, again, being extremely sick the last week. I haven't really done much of anything, not to mention being sick and being in this empty room by myself is not the funnest experience, to be honest with you. I do enjoy going back to school. It's actually probably one of the highlights of the week. Last week was going to classes, even though there's some issues with that, which we'll get to in a little bit. But all things considered, it was a rough week. It was a really pretty rough week that I went through, and the last couple of days, it's kind of caught up with me in my my depression that I've talked about in previous videos have kind of come back again. But I go back to class tomorrow, so hopefully things will go pretty well. We'll see. And I again apologize for the kind of crappy footage and audio, especially the audio. The audio is going to probably suck ass. I was going to try and pick up the audio with these, but it sounds really staticky. These are wireless headsets, which is one of the reasons why I have these now instead of the ones that I had before, was because one of the reasons why they died was I was listening to ASMR, which is kind of cool. It depends on the person. I like the like soft scripts, so people whispering, in the ears, which picks up really well on the old headphones and even these as well. But the old ones, being noise canceling headphones, were picked up really well. And then the fire alarm went off, which is right there. If it wasn't in my room, I would not have heard it. That's how good the headphones were. Um, but it was right there. It's right in between those two pictures. And so it goes off, and I, of course, hear it, and it freaks me out. And the computer falls off my stomach as I'm laying there, and I was half asleep, and the cord gets pulled right out of the thing where it's not supposed to be pulled out from. And yeah, rest in peace. I actually have what's left of the cord. Yeah, it's dead. Um, so that happened on Tuesday of last week, and guess what happened on Wednesday? My computer died. So this is on my Air, which is extremely bad for this, to be honest with you. The MacBook Air, one of the biggest problems that I have with it is the fact that it has no storage space at all in it. Luckily, I do have backup files, so which is why I was able to save stuff. I have the backup for my computer on here, pretty much up to date with pretty much everything that I had on there at the time. So that was good, but I only have such little storage space on this thing. I can't download. I can't even download half my Game Boy and Pokemon games, let alone my visual novels. I can barely get anything onto this thing, which makes it incredibly difficult to play games, which is one of the biggest things that I do on the channel, and I really enjoy playing games, and I'm going to try and at least play games occasionally. Luckily, I can still stream these fake Grand Order events, which that's Nero, by the way. But I can stream these fake Grand Order events on my thing, and I could probably even do some Wonder Trading, though I'm actually done with Wonder Trading. I know that I said that I was going to go and stream again, but I actually sat here and just threw the rest of them into the internet because I was bored, and I wasn't sure if I'd even be able to do this again. So more than likely, which I'm going to try and stay in front of this light because it's kind of obnoxious, I might do some shiny hunting at some point, which I could do on here, but again, my audio is going to be the biggest problem because I don't have anything to pick it up except for this computer itself, which I'm sure is picking up boatloads of background noise, including the water dripping from my shower, which no matter how much I try and turn it off, it doesn't turn off. But I'm sure it's picking up a whole bunch of stuff that I'd rather it not pick up, but unfortunately, because of my headset dying, I can't really do anything about that, and because of that, I had to miss work at my new place for a few days, and because of that, also, I wasn't able to make a video. I was going to make a Week 1 college football predictions thing like I did with the Bowl Mania, because that seemed to go over pretty well. I was going to do a Week 1 prediction thing for college football, but unfortunately, my everything died. Everything, like my computer died, my headphones died, my throat and my nose died. Basically, it's just been an incredibly rough week, and then classes have been kind of interesting. So I'm taking 4 classes right now. If you guys don't know, you guys should probably check out my other Shaymin vlogs and stuff, but I'm going to school as an English major and Japanese minor right now. I kind of decided on that in June. I'm pretty sure I specified it in a few videos as of late, but my goal is to end up being a Japanese minor, which is, it's rough because my previous experiences with language in general have been kind of rough, but I actually really like the Japanese language. I really like kanji, to be honest with you. Studying it is, it's a love-hate relationship. But I do find the designs interesting and whatnot. It is just going to take a really, really long time to really learn. But I honestly feel like this is kind of what I want to do. So anyway, I'm taking 4 classes, 3 English, basically 3,000 level classes or so, which is basically what equivalent to about a junior class standing. Some of the hardest classes that you can take, which I got linguistics, and I've got intro to poetry. But then my last class, even though it's a 3,000 level class, it is children's literature. So it's basically learning about what are the best, you know, children's books that you can go into certain situations with in classes and stuff. So it's actually a lot more in depth than you would think, but it definitely seems like a fun class. And then, of course, Japanese 10-10. Now, I was attempting to, I wanted to test out of it. I kind of sat in on a 2010 class, which is a third semester, because they only do the odd semesters in the fall and then the even semesters in the spring. So right now they have first semester and third semester Japanese going on. And then next semester they'll have second and fourth going on. So that's kind of shitty, to be honest with you. Just because I know for a fact that I can go into second semester Japanese easy. But sitting in on that third semester Japanese, I don't know if I got an entire year. I mean, I've only been studying since June, so keep that in mind. I've only had 3 months to even try to learn Japanese. Of course, most of July was spent reveling in depression, which you could probably check out some of my other Shaymin vlogs to get that. So really, it was mostly 2 months that I actually did study Japanese. And I know for a fact that I could easily get out of first semester Japanese, because the way that I've been learning it is a lot different. I guarantee you I'm going to learn stuff in this class, because a lot of the stuff that I haven't been learning is like we're doing classroom stuff, like freaking window and stuff like that. And when the frick am I going to actually use that? Not to mention the fact that I've been studying kanji, right? But in Heisig's Remembering the Kanji, Volume 1, you just remember how to draw the kanji and the definition. So things like chair, which is the kanji for tree, and the kanji for wind. Sorry, that's desk. Chair is the kanji for tree and the kanji for strange put together into one kanji, right? The primitive for tree and strange. And then desk is tree and wind. But I don't know how to say desk. I still don't quite remember it. I know that chair is isu, but desk I can't quite remember off the top of my head. But I know the kanji for it. That's the thing. The way that I've been personally self-studying kanji, because kanji is probably the most difficult part of learning Japanese, especially for an English speaker like I am. So, you do the hard part first. That's just how it goes. So the first thing I'm doing is remembering the definition, and then once I can look at a kanji and know what it means, then I should be able to go back and look at the definition that I've remembered and be able to picture and write the kanji with the right stroke order immediately after that. Then, after I do that, I can pair those now known meanings with the sounds that they make. That's the goal. Because the sound part's extremely hard if you have to remember the sound, the kanji, what it means, all at the same time. you know? It makes it really hard. And then on top of that, I'm trying to, practice reading and, writing it out. So, like, some of the stuff that I did for class, where you're just supposed to write hiragana, because I memorized hiragana the very first day that I started studying. I memorized all of hiragana in one day. I know it sounds freaking crazy, but I was on some tear back in June when I was like, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. And so I memorized hiragana in one day. I memorized katakana in technically 2 days, but I worked for some of it. So it was basically one day. Would have been one day if I didn't work. And I had 2/3 of the written language memorized, basically. So basically, since everybody it's 10-10, so everybody's basically supposed to start writing hiragana. Since I'm practicing kanji, I take some of the words that I see and practice writing them, even especially if I've never seen them before. So I wrote them in the workbook, as well as copied them down on my personal notebook to get that going. But basically, that's kind of what I've been doing. So it makes it hard to fit into any specific category, because remember, I know about 700 kanji definitions. I can look at almost 700 kanji and know at least one of the main definitions of the kanji. And for some of them, I know all of the definitions. I know exactly what that kanji basically means. So it's kind of hard, because 700 kanji is more than you will learn in all 4 semesters, all 2 years of Japanese that you were supposed to take in college, right? But I don't know how to say any of them, really. I know how to say a few, like I know how to count and stuff like that, and there are some on there like kokoro, which is heart, and stuff like that. But that is me picking up stuff from anime. Mate, meaning, weight and stuff like that. You pick up some things from kanji or from anime that translate and help you remember the sounds for the kanji as you're learning them, like kokoro, which is heart, which I know the kanji for. Though that one's a little tricky, especially when it's a primitive. But it makes it hard to fit into any particular class. So I know more, as I was talking to some of the people in the 3rd semester Japanese class, I know more kanji than they do, by a lot. I mean, they probably know maybe 40 kanji, maybe 50. But the difference is that they know how to say them, they know how to write them, they know how to use them. And so they know more about those kanji than I do. But I know more kanji in terms of definitions. So the biggest problem that I have, though, with 1010 is that the teacher is super American. Super American. She doesn't speak Japanese. She speaks American Japanese, and that bugs me. I don't know if any of you guys watch Dogen on YouTube, but he's a Japanese phonetics major, and currently resides in Japan. And so he stresses the fact that you need to learn how to pronounce them correctly. So you need to make sure all of the increments, which in this case are usually hiragana or katakana, what's the right word? Connotations. Like each kanji, like hon is book, right? Which is a kanji, but it's written, it's pronounced as ho and right? But ho and n have to have the same amount of time that you're saying them, even though n is technically shorter. I know that's kind of confusing, but the biggest thing is that in Japanese 1010, it really makes it hard because I'm listening to the teacher and I know a lot of the stuff that she's saying is super Americanized. Um, how she's talking, how she's pronouncing her words are very, very American and not truly Japanese, I guess you could say. And it honestly bugs the ever living crap out of me. Because, like, in the Japanese 2010 class, which is the third semester Japanese class that I sat in on a period for, the teacher was from Japan. And she is very Japanese, says it perfectly. Obviously, it's her native language. So, everything felt better. Like, I felt like I learned something, even though I couldn't quite comprehend most of what she was saying because, again, that lack of knowledge in terms of the actual speaking aspect of Japanese, which I'm sorely lacking in, which is fine, again, because of my self-study teaching or learning Japanese the way that I have. So that's been kind of rough. I know it's kind of weird for me talking just about Japanese, but I have a very strong opinion on Japanese. Not to mention, I just wanted to share kind of like what I've done because I know a lot of people are kind of interested in Japanese. I find it very interesting though because there's a lot of people who are like, this is what I want to do, Japanese, blah 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 blah, and then they'll tell you that in the JET program and other programs of teaching English and stuff, about 80% to 85% of people will go home because they don't want to live in Japan anymore. It's just a thing. A lot of people just feel like this is their calling, and then they realize it's nothing like how they expected it to be. And my issue is that I was planning on teaching English before this. I was just going to be a U.S. English teacher, and then minor in history. That was my original minor that I had prior to June when I decided to go with Japanese. The difference is that not only do I really like Japan and feel like the experience is necessary, but I mean, worst case scenario, which I don't think this is going to happen, but worst case scenario, it's like what all the people say, and I turn out not to like it, and then I want to go home. I'm gonna put home in air quotes because I don't really have home here per se. But if I want to go back to the U.S., I have something. I have teaching experience, an English major. Boom. I could probably get into most high schools or even elementary schools with that kind of resume. So, thus, I at least have a fallback plan. But to be honest with you, based on what I've seen, and I've watched a lot about it and taken a lot of notes about it and whatnot. So I'm like 99.9% sure that this is what I want to do. I want to go over to Japan. I want to pass the N1. I want to go into teaching high school students, high school Japanese students English. That's what I want to do. And I am very sure of that. Not only do I want to do that, but I also want to be kind of an influence for Japanese people. As you probably know, the Japanese just have a very high suicide rate where they are, and not to mention the collectivist society that they have makes it very hard for people who are different to stand out, especially in that LGBTQ category. And I feel like if I can make it over there, if I could help at least one person over in Japan realize that who they are is totally fine and stuff like that, and kind of change the perspective of at least one person over there, that it might be worth it, you know? So, honestly, I think that this is the right choice that I'm making. I feel like, this is definitely what I want to do. But again, worst case scenario, I have a fallback plan. Um, or let's just say that it doesn't work out. Maybe, something goes wrong with going over there, or they send me back or something. Then I still have that fallback plan. So hopefully it won't come to that. I doubt it'll come to that, but I have that there. Moving on to the English side of things, I'm sorry if I'm rambling. I do apologize. It's just, this is something that I care a lot about, so I hope that you guys don't mind too much. But as for my other English classes, which I do, I'm a big fan of the English language, even though it's obnoxious and kind of stupid. But my linguistics class is interesting. My teacher speaks super monotone, and it kind of bugs me. Especially when he talks and 99% of the class is like kind of trying to figure out what he's saying, and he has to repeat himself or like change up how he's saying changing up the structure of his sentence to try and make it make more sense. Is ridiculous in my opinion. Not to mention, he has this thing where we're supposed to turn in like versions of our notes immediately after class, basically. They have to turn it in by the end of the day. So last Wednesday, I had a hard time turning it in because I worked. I worked last Wednesday. I did get sent home because of my illness, but I worked last Wednesday, and it has to be in that day. So I had to come back, and even though I was sick and I was needing to go to bed, I had to sit here and I had to type up what we did. And even though it doesn't take super long, it really doesn't make any sense why it can't be due the next day, and it just kind of bugs me on that part, especially because half the class doesn't even know what this dude's talking about half the time. So the convoluted class is kind of like iffy. Hopefully things will get better, but it's linguistics, which is not even that easy of a subject, even for English majors like me. So we'll see. That one's probably going to end up being my hardest class, which I kind of knew from the beginning. I mean, it's intro to linguistics. Like, it's a 3,000 level class, which is basically a junior class, which is where I'm at. But still, for someone like me who aced Shakespeare, like, I feel like I could do really well in this class, but it's just kind of ridiculous and convoluted. But we'll see how that goes. Poetry shouldn't be too bad. I'm kind of interested. Our teacher's kind of crazy, but all things considered, not too bad. And then, of course, my children's lit class is amazing. My teacher's fantastic. I just got to point out the fact that she is the only teacher that I have ever had that when she goes around doing introductions the first day, last Monday, she asks for people's pronouns. That's amazing. That's amazing. Like, I feel like in this society, especially with how many people treat it like it's something absolutely ridiculous, going around and actually having people say their pronouns is something that I highly respect in a teacher. Not to mention she's really fun and interesting, and I think the class is going to be by far my most entertaining class that I have, and I'm going to really enjoy it. But I just got to say that surprised me so much, that she asked for people's pronouns, and I think that that's just so amazing, and so it's just something that we don't get as much as we should in this society. because people don't understand that gender is completely different. Like it's something that is inside your mind, which is who you are, you know? I think that so many people view it as something completely out of sorts that it's just wild. And see, I'm trans, right? I'm a girl. I know that most people who may have come late or didn't see my other stuff might not realize it. I do know that I'm not 100% there because I have this stuff, which I had seven sessions of laser hair removal, and this is all it did, which is nothing. Um, I just shaved too. This is immediately after shaving what it looks like. It's still there, and of course my voice, which I haven't really had a lot of practice with, which I should probably try and make sound a little bit more feminine. It's super hard because if you talk too strangely, then people are gonna treat you even worse than they would already. Unfortunately, we just live in that kind of society. But um, while I might be one of the two genders that people like say are the only ones, which they're not. Um, Even though I fit into that category, I know people who don't, and I know that it is so hard for them. And I feel like it shouldn't be that way. I feel like if you are neither man nor woman, or if you're gender fluid and some days you're kind of more of a guy and some days you're more of a girl, I feel like that shouldn't be considered weird. It really shouldn't. I mean, it's not the norm, but it totally isn't out of the picture of, you know, reasonability. I think there's just too many people in this society that are like, oh my god, do you have a dick? Then you're a guy. And it just bugs the shit out of me. It bugs the shit out of me so bad because, like, why should that define a social construct? Like, being a guy and being a girl are socially accepted things, right? And it just, the fact that my teacher came out and asked for that in general is just absolutely outstanding. I'm really fortunate to be going to Weber State because this school is very LGBTQ friendly, and I really, really appreciate that, especially in this state where there are a lot of other colleges in this state that are very not. And so I feel very happy to be going to this school out of all of the schools in the state of Utah because I know for a fact I would not be getting the same experience if I were going to almost any of the other schools in this state because it's just LGBTQ people are not accepted in this state. It's really shitty and it shouldn't be a thing, but it is, and I'm just glad to be going here. All of my teachers call me Abigail and have treated me really well. My work is also very good about that. They even put it on my prescription. It's insane. I don't know if you guys can see this, but there's my dead name. Don't ever call me that, by the way. But see, they put my name on there, even though they didn't have to. They didn't have to do that. But they put it on there anyway, so that the people who come in and might be new to the pharmacy or whatever can come in and see, oh, they have that name there. That must be the one that they want to be called by, you know. So it just makes me super happy about that. Of course, they can't take my legal name off. I know that. But unfortunately, legal names getting removed is going to be probably the biggest challenge outside of raising $50,000. But I think that's probably enough rambling on. So thank you guys for checking out this video, and make sure you click that thumbs up button down below for me, because you already know your support is greatly appreciated. If you guys want, if you guys are still here, leave a comment in the comment sections. Ask me some questions. I'm trying to do this every week. I don't know how well I'll be able to do that, but I'm going to try and do these about every week to give you guys some updates on school and stuff like that, as well as my my computer. Trying to update you on that. If things go well, maybe by December I can buy myself a new computer, but it's all going to depend on how much money I have saved up from school, because I have to pay for school next semester, or I have to move out in December, and that's going to be really shitty. And I don't know if I can handle that again. So if I save up enough money, then I might be trying to get a computer this December that has more ability. But again, leave a comment in the comment section. Ask me some questions. And I think I'll just leave you with that. So we'll see you all next time.